Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our first hymn, Morning Has Come, number 1000 in the Teal Hymnal. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope is shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace it shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see the life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Please be seated.
Good morning. So grateful to be here with y'all this morning. Every day, we find a new sky and a new earth with which we are trusted like a perfect toy. We are given the salty river of our blood winding through us to remember the sea and our kindred under the waves. The hot pulsing that knocks in our throats to consider our cousins in the grass and the trees, all bright, scattered rivulets of light. We are given the wind within us, the breath, to shape into words that steal time, that touch like hands and pierce like bullets, that waken truth and deceit, sorrow and pity and joy, that waste precious air in complaints, in lies, in floating traps for power on the dirty air. Yet holy breath still stretches our lungs to sing. We are given the body, that momentary kibbutz of elements that have belonged to frog and polar bear, corn and oak tree, volcano and glacier. We are lent for a time these minerals in water and a morning every day to wake up, rejoice and praise life in our spines, our throats, our knees, our genitals, our brains, our tongues. We are given fire to see against the dark, to think, to read, to study how we are to live, to bank in ourselves against defeat and despair, that cool and muddy our resolves, that make us forget what we saw we must do. We are given passion to rise like the sun in our minds with the new day and burn the debris of habit and grief and fear. We stand in the midst of the burning world, primed to burn with compassionate love and justice, to turn inward and find holy fire at the core, to turn outward and see the world that is all of one flesh with us. See under the trash, through the smog, the furry bee in the apple blossom, the trout leaping, the candles our ancestors lit for us. Fill us as the tide rustles into the reeds in the marsh. Fill us as the rushing water overflows the pitcher. Fill us as light fills a room with its dancing. Let the little quarrels of the bones and the snarling of the lesser appetites and the whining of the ego cease. Let silence still us, so that you may show us your shining, and we can, out of that stillness, rise and praise.
Welcome. Welcome to Inner River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUUF, as we like to say. My name is Simon Kaplan. I'm your worship associate today, and whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever your race, gender identities, or whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey or in your search for truth, meaning, and liberation, you are welcome here in beloved community. If you're visiting with us today, I invite you to rise in body or spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. Any visitors? Yep. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. If you're watching on the live stream and have access to the chat, I invite you to place your name there and someone will welcome you online. I particularly want to welcome our worship leader today, Rabbi Noah Rubin-Blose. Rabbi Noah believes in the transformative power of Jewish time and ritual to build liberatory worlds in the face of empire. He supports our communities to grow and tend our roots and our belonging. He is a storyteller and ritualist, a crafter of shared decision-making for collective power, and a practitioner of nonviolent direct action. Before becoming a rabbi, he worked as a community organizer and caterer. He was a co-founder of Bread Uprising Bakery cooperative, an organizer of Demilitarize Durham to Palestine campaign, and author of the cookbook, Making the Table, Vegetarian Recipes to Nourish Community. He's the rabbi of Makom Jewish community in the Triangle area of North Carolina. If you're visiting with us today and have children with you, they're welcome to participate in the religious exploration classes with our children. Simply follow the other families out of the sanctuary after the time for all ages, and one of our RE people will take care of you and your child, and you'll be able to return back to the service. Also, everyone is invited to attend our Inquirers class for newcomers and visitors, which takes place directly after the service in the Commons Room in the building next door. You'll get to learn about us and are welcome to share something about yourself as well. If you have a child in RE, please be sure to pick them up before the class, and then you'll be told where they can go for childcare during Inquirers. They are also welcome to hang out in the class with you. Now would be a great time to turn off or down to worship mode any devices you might have about your person. Let us now take a deep breath in and out. This service will draw upon poetry by contemporary Jewish poets to open up a space for renewal, reflection, and justice for all. Rabbi Noah will reflect on the choices we make to keep doing what is life-giving for us, even when we find ourselves in incredibly challenging times. Now, I invite the young and the young at heart to come down to listen to a story, a beautiful story, as part of Time for All Ages. Thank you. Thanks for coming down. Hi. So the story we are reading today, or I'm reading, that is called Dreamers by Yuri Morales. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became amor, love, amor, resplendent life, you and I. One day, we bundled gifts in our backpack and crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. Adios, corazón. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty, in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrantes, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know, unable to understand, afraid to speak. We made lots of mistakes. You ever made a mistake? Yeah. You and I became caminantes. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found a place we had never seen before. Suspicious, improbable, unbelievable, surprising, unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust. And we did. Books became our language. Books became our home. Books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday, we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories. We're two languages. We are lucha. We are resilience. We are hope. We are dreams. Soñadores of the world. We are love. Amor. Love. That's the story. Do you like it? Yes. Me too. So thank you. Thank you very much. We will now sing you off to your religious exploration classes. So thank you very much, and we'll see you later.
Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Please rise in body or spirit and join me in our next hymn. We're going to sing hymn number 392 in the gray hymnal, Hine Matov, which if you'd like to do in a round, you can go ahead and try it in a round. It's got the same lyrics for two different sections of music. So you'll hear one melody and then you'll hear another melody, but the same words each time. Shevet neighbor.
So I wanted to say one thing before I read this next poem, which is that the poetry that I've chosen for this service is all by contemporary Jewish poets, and they are all interpretations of Jewish liturgy in English. And it kind of follows the structure of if you were to go to a Jewish prayer service, likely the prayers would be in Hebrew, and they would be like the traditional language. But these are contemporary poets that have kind of interpreted that liturgy in their own words, and I find it very beautiful and moving. So wanted to share that with you and kind of just a little bit of the context. So this prayer is called Ve'ahavta, which means "and you shall love." Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire. Another world is possible. Another world is possible. Thus spoke the prophet Roque Dalton. Altogether they have more death than we, but altogether we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield unless we lay down our souls to become them. And then we will lose everything. So instead, imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning. The exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot. The muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin. The sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the backseat of a car, and the children who suck on stones, nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being towards that day, when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds, and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Then imagine more. Imagine rape is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor. That the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion, and keep walking. Hold hands. Share water. Keep imagining, so that we and the children of our children's children may live.
We hold in our hearts, with great compassion, all beings who are experiencing sorrow and suffering at this time, both here in our community and throughout the world. We especially send our energies toward and offer prayers for the well-being of those the world over who are experiencing any form of trauma, violence, or devastation due to war, climate displacement, hunger, injury, illness, or the loss of loved ones. We also pray for the health of our planet that nurtures of our lives. In beloved community, we hold in our hearts Richard and Peg Wolf, who today celebrate their 61st wedding anniversary, together with all the unspoken joys and concerns among those of us here at ERUUF. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
I want to begin by telling you a story. The story is close to 2,000 years old. It is found in the Talmud, a core Jewish text. The story takes place in Roman-occupied Palestine, at a time when Jews, Christians, and many other religious minorities faced intense repression from the Roman Empire just for existing. The Romans did things like destroyed the temple that was the center for Jewish life, killed Jesus because they found his message and leadership threatening. And people continued, of course, to practice and to transform their spiritual practices. So, the evil empire, as Rome is called in this story, it's literally what they're called, the evil empire had to keep adapting their strategies of repression. So, one of the things that they did is that they outlawed Torah study. Torah is a core Jewish sacred text, and to study it in community was and continues to be an important spiritual practice for many people, a source of strength and wisdom. So the evil empire made it illegal for Jewish communities specifically to gather and do that together. A teacher of Torah named Rabbi Akiva went and convened large groups of people to study Torah together in public in defiance of the order. Another man saw this and asked him, "Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid of the government and of the empire?" Rabbi Akiva answered him, "Let me tell you a fable, an analogy. Let me make this analogy for you. It's like this. A fox was walking by a riverbank and saw fish swimming from place to place, unable to rest. They were fleeing from fishermen's nets. And the fox spoke to them and said, 'Don't you want to come up here onto dry land with me? We could live together safely. There's no fishermen's nets up here. We could live together safely, just like our ancestors once did.'" Okay, there's something funny about this fox. Maybe there's a few funny things, but it seems like the fox knows something about evolution, maybe, that there was a time when the ancestors of fox and fish actually lived in the same place together. But anyway, the fox is asking the fish, "Don't you want to come up here on the land? It might be safer for you." And the fish are not interested. "You are a fool," they say. "You want us to come up onto dry land? We are afraid in a place that is life for us. The water is life for us. All the more so we would be afraid in a place that is death for us." Fish, as we know, cannot live on dry land. The very reason, in fact, that they have to flee from the nets is that the nets will pull them up out of the water. To go voluntarily and try to survive in the air would be impossible. And they're scared. The fish acknowledge this. Yet to leave the water would be to deny themselves what is life-giving. It would only feed the fear more. So this was Rabbi Akiva's metaphor that he told this guy named Pappos, who asked him this question, and then he actually spells out what he means. He says, "Why am I telling you this story about fish and about Torah? About Torah, it is written, 'It is your life and the length of your days.' Torah for Jewish people is life-giving like water is for fish. Living under an empire that is willing to criminalize people for studying Torah, in fact, the only chance we have at survival is to share Torah with each other." And why is it that the evil empire wanted to outlaw Torah study in the first place? Probably because it's life-giving. The Roman powers that be didn't want people to have access to something that would feed their spirits and strengthen their resolve. So this story does not exactly have a happy ending. Just a few days after this exchange, Rabbi Akiva is arrested by the Roman Empire for convening these public Torah study groups. Pappos, the man who questioned him, is coincidentally arrested around the same time for your average petty crime. Part of how repression operated and operates is by criminalizing people for all kinds of things. So the two of them meet again in prison, and Pappos laments his own fate. "Woe is me," he says, "that I was seized for idle matters. Happy are you, Rabbi Akiva, for you were arrested for a righteous activity." Pappos sees that the empire is going to be repressive and violent either way. His own following the rules, his own not studying Torah did not actually protect him. So he wishes that maybe he had been a little bit braver, like Rabbi Akiva, And he sees how Rabbi Akiva was able to maybe maintain a little bit of his own dignity in the face of empire. I love this story for a lot of reasons. I love it because it offers us, I think, a lot of inspiration and instruction for how to do what is life-giving for us in really hard times. And there's at least 2 layers to this. The first is simply just finding and continuing to do those practices. It might be easy to keep studying Torah, keep swimming in the water, keep doing whatever that is for you, if there's no empire or no fishermen coming after you. When we face repression, though, it can be tempting to give up on it. We can face consequences for continuing to do those things. And that is the time when we need those practices the most. The second layer is that what is life-giving will often be, in this story it is, something that becomes an act of resistance. Rabbi Akiva is not studying Torah in order to resist. The fish aren't swimming around in order to resist. They're just trying to live their lives. And what they're doing becomes countercultural to whatever empire they've found themselves in. And I think that will be true for us too. Whatever empire, whatever structures of power and oppression we find ourselves living under and living within, what is going to be truly life-giving won't be aligned with those powers that be. Maybe for us, will not be aligned with mainstream white US capitalist society. What is life-giving for us, I think, is what helps us maintain our dignity and build up our dignity. What brings us alive, makes us feel enlivened. What helps us to imagine a world where everyone is free, where we are free and everyone is free. What steadies us even when we're afraid and helps us to act anyway. And just what connects us to each other and to all other life on this planet. What is life-giving for you? What is your communal Torah study that has been outlawed? What is the water that you don't want to leave, that you need to keep swimming in even when you're afraid? For Yuyi Morales and her son, in the book that Simon read to the kids, what's life-giving in a time of a lot of transition, a lot of uncertainty, is to be able to dream beyond one small and particular reality. Her experience of the public library is a revelation that opens up worlds, and that's because I think it opens up possibilities to imagine. It opens up imagination. So one of the things that might be how we find what's life-giving for us is what opens up our imagination and possibility. In that book, it's specifically reading, and I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes reading is a little more of an escape. It can be really nice to just kind of like retreat into a world crafted by a skilled author, and I think that's good. And that is, I think, a little different from what I'm talking about practices that are life-giving that help us to face the world instead of retreating away from it. Sometimes we might also need a break, and we need to kind of be strengthened to return and face the world. And that is reading as opening up imagination. It helps us to face the world and imagine a world beyond what we see in front of us. It could be that even the same book that is like a nice escape into a different world can also, when we return to this world, allow us to imagine beyond, imagine what we can't even imagine. Imagine a healed planet, imagine a world where Black lives truly matter. Imagine a world where queer family structures are everywhere. Imagine a world where everyone has access to safety and dignity and joy. So imagination, maybe, is one of the life-giving things. I also think that what is life-giving helps us and allows us to move through fear. Black lesbian feminist poet Audre Lorde wrote about her experience of facing cancer and facing the reality of death. She said, "Priorities and omissions became strongly etched in a merciless light, and what I most regretted were my silences. Of what had I ever been afraid? I was going to die, if not sooner than later, whether or not I had ever spoken myself. My silences had not protected me. Your silence will not protect you." She's saying that silence doesn't protect us from fear or from the reality of death. So speaking and breaking silence actually binds us to life and maybe counters some of that. It moves us through that fear. Lorde continues in this piece, "The machine will try to grind you into dust anyway, whether or not we speak. We can sit in our corners, mute forever, while our sisters and ourselves are wasted, while our children are distorted and destroyed, while our earth is poisoned. We can sit in our safe corners, and we will still be no less afraid." This is the fish saying, we're going to be afraid, but we're staying in the water. This is Papos saying in prison that he regretted his own silences, that he chose not to study Torah out of fear, and it literally did not protect him from being imprisoned by the Roman occupiers. I don't think that when we do the life-giving thing, the fear goes away, but it allows it maybe to move somewhere, allows us to be nourished and to move through it like a fish moving through water. The evil empire is a source of death. So what is life-giving by necessity helps us to challenge empire, death, and despair. That means it is possible, maybe even likely, maybe, depending on the thing, that what's life-giving might be something that's outlawed, or something that was outlawed at some time, or something that maybe will be. This year, for me, taking action for Palestinian life and liberation has been life-giving in the face of so much death. I have been absolutely devastated to witness an ongoing genocide that has claimed the lives of more than 30,000 Palestinian people in Gaza and has destroyed daily life of more than 2 million people there in a way that will reverberate for decades. This is devastating in and of itself, and it is devastating also to know that it's funded with our tax dollars, and for me to know that it is committed by Israeli government officials who invoke the Torah to justify their actions. So in the face of so much death and devastation, I've needed to mourn, I've needed to sometimes escape to not feel overwhelmed by the news cycle every day. And the thing that has really been life-giving for me has been the transformation of silence into action, including doing things that are outlawed. I've been arrested multiple times in the past 8 months, in Raleigh, in DC. I even traveled to Palestine and risked arrest attempting to get food aid into Gaza in an action organized by a group called Rabbis for Ceasefire. These acts of resistance, unfortunately, have not stopped the flow of bombs and death, but they have been a place that carves out a little space of life inside of it, because they're a place where collectively we are able to affirm the sacredness of Palestinian life, and in so doing, the sacredness of all life. When life itself is outlawed, affirming life anyway becomes an act of resistance that calls for a world with less death, a world that's more livable, and binds each of us to life, to our own lives and to all life. For Rabbi Akiva, in the story that I told at the beginning, that outlawing of life was a ban on the life-giving practice of studying Torah. In our time, there's many ways that this is happening. One way that life is outlawed is the relentless bombing of entire Palestinian families. Another way is here at home, in North Carolina, across the US, criminalization of trans people, of Black people, of immigrants, the poisoning of our planet, and of indigenous lands. So I'm suggesting that what is life-giving for each of us is the water that we want to swim in that will allow us, each of us, to escape whatever the nets are that are trying to catch you and any of our people out in the waters of empire. That might be reading, it might be speaking, it might be taking action. It might be, another thing that's life-giving for me is tending my garden, literally kind of tending the shoots of life that are coming up out of the earth. Maybe it's something else for you. Whatever it might be, whatever gives you life and strengthens your resolve, my invitation for you is to do that this week. Do something that's life-giving for you, for others, for the planet. And may your life-giving practice be life-giving for all of us. Thanks.
It takes many resources as we weave the fabric of beloved community in our congregation. It includes the offering of our time, talent, creativity, imagination, and treasure, all given as we cultivate hearts of generosity toward our mission, vision, and work in the world. As the greeters come forward to pass the collection pouches, you may place something in it, or you can point your device at the QR code on the screen, or use the QR code on one of the cards you'll find in the pew racks. That will take you directly to our online giving portal. If you need assistance with any of this, you can receive help in the office directly after the service. The ERUUF Summer Choir will now continue with the offertory. We give thanks for all of the many gifts of beloved community, especially the gift of belonging. Wendy will now lead us in our closing hymn.
For our closing hymn, would you please rise in body or spirit? We're going to sing a song called May I Be Empty by Batya Levine, and some of you out there I know this song, so you can join us. And it goes like this. May I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive the very full. May I be full and open to receive the light. May I be full and open to receive. And then repeat. May I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive. May I be full and open to receive the light. May I be full and open to receive. May I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive. May I be full and open to receive the light. May I be full and open to receive.
I think you can be seated, right? Do you stand for the last part? Sorry, everyone. You do? Oh, okay. Okay, so you can stand for the closing words. Great. That's great. This is actually Aleinu, which means it is on us, is actually a prayer that is traditionally said standing. It's up to us to hallow creation, to respond to life with the fullness of our lives. It is up to us to meet the world, to embrace the whole, even as we wrestle with its parts. It is up to us to repair the world and to bind our lives to truth. Therefore, we bend the knee and shake off the stiffness that keeps us from the subtle graces of life and the supple gestures of love. With reverence and thanksgiving, we accept our destiny and set for ourselves the task of redemption.